Welcome back, everybody. Another episode of 50 Questions with SALOME OSIFO. And another question we'll be answering today is, how do you think being a Christian affects your choices? That's a strong one. Or does being a Christian affect your choices? Now, first of all, who is a Christian? A Christian, gotten from the Bible, the disciples were called Christ-like. That's where the word Christian came out from, because they behave like Jesus, they behave like Christ. So when the people saw them, they said, oh, these people, their character, the way they behave like that man from Nazareth. And that is Christ. The term Christ-like Christians came to play. So being a Christian, it means that you are Christ-like. You have the character, the behavior, the nature of Christ. Everything about you reflects Jesus. Everything about you reflects Christ. And that is why you are a Christian. So if who you reflect is not Christ, you are not supposed to be called a Christian. Yes, you are right. If your character, your state, everything about you has nothing to do with Jesus, then what's your business with being called a Christian? Because we have so many Christians claiming to be Christians, if they really know what being a Christian is, but their life, everything about them is far from Christians. Because you can't be bearing a name and you don't have any relationship with the name. You can't call yourself a Christian and you don't have any relationship with it. Being a Christian is actually the lifestyle of Christ, the reflection of Christ. For Christ is the Son of God, and we are to resemble, to look like Him. No one knows the Father except what? Through the Son. Now, to our question, it said, how do I think that being a Christian affects your choices? It affects everything about you. Yes, you. Watch me. If you are a Christian, if you are a child of God, if you are a child of light, it affects your choices. From the little things to the big things, to the big decisions, to the choices, everything about you should be centered on Jesus. He said anyone that should follow Him should deny his cross. You can't say you are a Christian and not make Jesus, make God your priority. And it affects my choices in the sense that I do everything based on how God wants it. It may not be how I want it. Up to how I speak, how I relate, how I dress, how I look, everything about me should reflect that I am a Christian. Should reflect Jesus. Up to the decisions I make in life, business, family, relationships, everything should reflect Jesus. I don't care what you think or what you may say. If I am a banker, how do you know I'm a banker? You know I'm a banker by how I appear, right? How do you know an engineer? How he appears. How do you know a doctor? You know him also because of how he appears. So how do you know a Christian? Yes, how do you know a Christian? How can a child of light resemble the child of darkness? How can we Christians look like the world? If we are Christians, it must be evident, it must be obvious in everything we do. Many a time, it has been so corrupted that we Christians, we tend to say we are Christians, we are children of God, but we don't actually look it. We don't actually behave it. We don't actually act like it. If you go back to history, go back to the early church, the origin of that word Christian came because they behave exactly like Jesus. So if you are not behaving like Jesus, then you are not a Christian. You are not a believer. Am I saying don't look good? Good. Look beautiful. Look handsome. Be presentable. But does that mean that you should be indecent? No. As a Christian, you should know that our standard is not the standard of the world. Our standard is the standard of God based on Jesus. That is who we are. How do you know a king? You know him by how he looks. How do you know the son of a king? Do you know the son of a king? By how he dresses, his apparel. How can I say I'm a child of the King of Kings and I look like a servant? Being a Christian affects every area of life. If he's not going to glorify God, if he's not going to glorify Jesus, if he will not be pleased with whatever I am doing, then I have no business with it. If God will not be glorified in that thing, then what are you doing with it? If in that words, in that speech, in that character, in that friendship, relationship, dressing, whatever, up to our overall lifestyle, if Jesus will not be glorified, then we have no business whatsoever with it. I'm not telling you how or what to do. I'm just telling you that, remember, the standard is Jesus, not man, not ministers, not social media. What is in Jesus should be in me, in you. What is not in Jesus should not be in you, should not be in me. Because Jesus is the prototype. We are Christians. Remember that. In every step, daily as you live your life, let it be in your subconscious that you are a Christian. You are Christ-like. Everything about you should show Jesus to the world. People should actually see you and fall in love with Jesus. They should try to know you and love the God that you serve. Not see the way you appear and be like, no. Stop taking the standard of the world to live your life. That is not your identity. That is not who you are. Yes, many times we fall short because we are humans. But remember, go back to your source. Go back to where it all began from. And that is Jesus. Whatever is in Jesus should be in you. Whatever is not in Jesus should not be in you. So whatever is not planted by my Father shall be uprooted. Uproot it. Whatever character, whatever your lifestyle, everything about you, your choices, your decisions, remember, should be Jesus based. It should be your number one priority.